Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Today on the Superintendent Network, proudly brought to you by Toro. My name is Adam Kershane, joined by my co-host, Brian Laurent. And folks, today we got number 90, featuring Superintendent Rodney Robbins from the country club at Muirfield Village. This is a really good one. We also have the winners of the Toro Seamus Golf head cover giveaway announced throughout this episode. So enjoy it, search for it. Congratulations to all the winners. Shoot us a DM once you hear your name, and we will get that out to you. We want to say thank you to everybody for always supporting the show. All the messages we've been receiving lately, all of the reviews and everything that have come out of this have been amazing. So we really, really appreciate all of that. Cannot say enough thank yous for everything that you guys are doing for us. We hope you enjoyed Masters Weekend. It certainly was exciting. Maybe you had money on Rory, maybe you didn't. But nonetheless, it was certainly a fantastic weekend. We definitely enjoyed all the coverage online, on TV, throughout social media. Everything that was being passed around was so cool. It's such a great kickoff to the year, such a great start to the season in a lot of places. It's springtime, things are blooming, grass is starting to get cut. It's exciting. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. There's a lot of great stuff to get out of it. And get ready for next week too, because we got a cool one. We're actually heading overseas to a country we have never been to before. Turf Today is brought to you by Toro. If good things come in threes, Toro is nailing it because they're focused on the three big areas that everybody is talking about: alternative power, autonomous technology, and smart digital tools. Toro has battery-powered mowers that can run all day long. Their GeoLink technology makes spraying so accurate, there's virtually no overlap. And their IntelliDash platform makes it easy to track course conditions in real time. Want to see what's next? Follow Toro on Instagram and on X, and know that Toro is always solving and always evolving. Did you have fun watching Masters coverage yesterday?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we had a little local chapter association event here with the Ohio GCSA. So went down and hung out with a bunch of buddies down there, watched a couple hours worth of coverage, and beautiful. Yeah. How about you? Did you have a good time? Did you get to catch a little bit?
Yeah, we tried to watch as much as we could. Kids are homesick right now, so it's
Oh,
always
boy.
fun, but we tried to sit on the couch, and every time Rory would come on, I'd say, "Hey, bud, there's Rory. There he is."
Yeah.
So
That's his guy.
it's his guy. Yeah, he
Well,
likes watching him.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
unfortunately, he had that tough chip there on 15.
know.
Kind of hurt him a little bit, but you never know. Never know
Yeah,
how
I know.
Justin Rose can hold on.
I was watching some of the live from this morning. They said Justin Rose shot 7 under the first round in 2021, and I think that's the year Hideki won it at like 3 under. So
Okay,
we'll see what happens.
First day, yeah.
Yeah, big first day guy.
Well, they were
Big
saying
first
there
day.
was a lot of putts made, so I wonder if there's going to be some sneakier pins and stuff. Although there were some pretty tough pins out there yesterday.
Yeah, with being around all the guys and everything, I didn't get to pay close attention as much as as I wanted to. But yeah, it seemed like it was playing semi-soft, at least early in the morning. I don't know. It sounded like there were some rains maybe that went through earlier in the week and softened things up a little bit. So yeah, I would certainly expect it's going to get a little more difficult as the week goes on, as most tournaments usually do. So, but no, it was good day one, and excited to watch day two here. I was in the same boat. I was sitting there watching Rory. He's my pick this week, so seeing him 3 under or whatever through 14 holes, I'm like, oh, he's gonna finish 5 under. He's gonna be right in the hunt. And then that chip on 15 just hurt him, and then a double on 17 too. I didn't see. I saw him airmail the green, but I didn't see how he ended up making double. But man, just brutal, tough finish. So hopefully he can rebound today, put up a good number there.
Yeah, but it was pretty competitive. There's a lot of good scores. I know we have a little Turf Today Masters fantasy going on the app, and it's pretty tight at the top there. A bunch of guys have picked some good teams, so it's been fun to follow.
Yeah. Good. No, I like Justin Rose. I wouldn't mind seeing him win. He's a likable character, in my
For
opinion.
sure.
Plus, he's an older guy, like me. He's an elder statesman of the game. So always nice to see the old guys playing strong.
Yeah, I love how they have all the past winners that get to play. It's kind of the only tournament where you look at the
Oh, I
leaderboard
know.
and you see some older names and stuff all mixed in. So a guy like Justin Rose, you'd figure, he gets a green jacket and gets to come back and play every year until he kind of can't. So you think he's kind of one of those guys.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. So we got a big one today, huh?
Absolutely. And it was kind of
Doing a
last
little
minute that
giveaway.
oh, yeah, we got that
That's what
too.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about, man. We
That's what
got a
you're
big
talking
boy
about.
today.
That's huge. I know, I know. And welcome to all the
Thousands
people
of
that haven't
comments.
listened to the show and are kind of joining us now. And yeah, that's exciting. We're going to announce that a little bit later in the show. 10 head covers from Seamus Golf and Toro. Um,
Yeah.
I know we've been getting lots of messages about how do we fix it so I win? How much money do I have to send you so I win?
I
And
was gonna say we've both been bribed a little bit on this one. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
yeah, no, I just keep telling people no friends. We're trying to give it out to people from all over. So it's it's
Yeah,
definitely a good one. And I think for Toro, they're starting to see that, people like that kind of stuff and why not get a few
yeah,
more of those things out to people? And it's a likable brand,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that head cover, man. When we got that thing right before the GCS championships out in San Diego, man, those were fire. I know you
Yeah.
posted it and got a ton of comments. So
Ton of comments.
that kind of spurred on this giveaway, I think. And yeah, they're legit.
Yeah, we were all sitting in a hotel room, just sitting around drinking, and one of my buddies showed up, and he had it for me with a few other things, and he's just like, "Here you go. This is what Toro sent you," and he kind of dropped it on the bed, and everybody was like, "Holy shit! Look at that!"
It's legit, man. I love it. It is a good one. So yeah, excited. Give those away during this episode. It'll be great. So make sure you're listening in. And got a guest coming on. That's a local boy here for me. So Rodney Robbins coming in from TCCMV, the country club at Muirfield Village. Great dude. He's been around a lot. Pinehurst, Philly cricket, been all around. So I'm excited to talk to him today. He's just a great dude from just south of Columbus, Pike County. Very involved in local chapters and just again, bringing people together. He's huge on that stuff. So looking forward to chatting with him a little bit and. Yeah, should be a great episode here with Rodney.
Rodney, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. How you doing?
Not too bad. Brian was just telling me about the day you guys had yesterday, so I'm just kind of wondering who's in worse shape right now.
I won't lie, I was not feeling the best this morning, but I answered the bell, so
Oh,
we're
yeah,
here.
had a boy. We appreciate it.
You left before it got dark, Rodney. So come on.
May have had to get the kids off the bus, so had to.
Yeah, yeah. That's very, very responsible of you. Nicely done. There were a few of us hanging out late. I was just telling Adam, I think we stayed about 7 hours, 7 or 8 hours last night. We left about 7:30.
Sounds about right. That's
Yeah, some of the guys had to wait for rush hour to be over with before they started heading, back east. So it worked out.
is a hike over there.
For some of those guys, for sure, man. So what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Waiting on spring here in Ohio. Right? It's very typical kind of mess. So start and stop, and it's trying to kick in. The Masters week, always gets people fired up for golf. So they go out and play a little bit, and then realize how cold it is, and watch a little golf on TV. So nope, things are great. I'm a proud hillbilly from Southern Ohio. Grew up in Pike County. Found my way into the turf industry, like a lot of people. Just started doing it and loved it, and it's like, hey, you can make a living at this, and this is pretty good. So, been doing that. Shoot, man, it started 1996 was my first golf course job at Big Beaver Creek, and went to OSU and traveled around and had some good experiences with some good people, and landed back here, lucky enough, in Columbus a few years ago. So living the dream.
So you come from a family of sort of outdoors professionals. Talk a little bit about the family history and how it was that you kind of came over to this side of things.
The Robbins family, they're in the sawmill business, so they cut timber and run sawmills. So kind of grew up outside a lot. We lived in the woods basically, and where I come from, there's only two courses, and they're not great, but they're there. And there's not a lot of people that play golf, but my dad and his brothers all played golf. So I kind of grew up. We had a little 9-hole mom and pop track that had a shack for a starter shack, and my dad would drop me off, and he would be out playing 9 holes, and I'd end up in the shop or in the woods or checking the whole place out. So kind of grew up around that. Golf was fortunate enough to be around it as a kid, and I worked at the sawmill long enough to realize, like, hey man, I need to go to college. I don't really want to work at a sawmill stacking lumber and sweeping floors and stuff like that. Not that it's not a good industry. It's been good to us, but I thought, man, I don't really want to work in a factory. I want to do something outside. And that's how I found this. It's just different every day, right? It's a different job every day. It's a different experience every day. And so learn to appreciate hard work with the family and those things, and just decided, like, I'm not going to do the family business. I want to go do something else. So, yeah, enjoyed every minute of it.
Going back to Beaver Creek, what were some of your favorite memories of working there? It was your first turf job.
I just got my driver's license, so I was a young kid, didn't know nothing. And my best buddy, he was a really good golfer. We had the first official golf team at our school. We had enough folks to actually field an actual competitive team. So we grew up playing there, and it's funny when you look back on it now, like even there at this small track, like, you had to be there early. You had to, like, clean your carts out, all the things that we harp on today. They would bust my butt for back, for showing up 5 minutes late or not, finishing the job right or whatever. Right. So a lot of that, it was the same there as it is now, try to still do those same things. Big Beaver Creek, it was my first taste of, like, high end golf in Pike County. This guy, Denny Bloomfield, moved down there and built this amazing 18-hole property. It had bent grass fairways. Nobody had bent grass fairways. We was playing off of crab and dandelions most of it. It was a really nice place, and he tried to make it a really nice destination kind of public place, and it did well for a long time. And me and my best friend Brock, that's how I kind of found this. We had this idea of one day he would run the shop and I would run the outside, and we would be the kings of Pike County golf and that sort of stuff. So didn't work out that way, but had big goals back in the 90s, right?
I'd say it worked out pretty well. You may not be at Big Beaver Creek, but
not exactly at that same place. But I have enough side ventures down there. We're helping some other courses and trying to do all that stuff too. So that small town golf is pretty important to me.
Absolutely. So talk about, you went from Ohio State, and then was your first job down in Pinehurst? Where was that?
My first job was official job was at the Pinnacle Club. We was building that. It's a nice private club south of town. Opened up at the worst time, right in the 2007 recession and all that mess. And but really nice course. That was my first assistant job, and I wasn't ready for it at all. Didn't even know what I should be doing every day, right? Had no clue. Kind of rolled with that for a while, and went back to, I was at the Scarlet and Gray courses during college in school. Just a great opportunity to work there while I was going to school, and learned a lot. I was at the Pinnacle Club for several years, and then opportunity came back at the Scarlet. They got a new superintendent. They had a cornferryweb.com, they changed the name, but that they had those events, and I thought, man, that would be something to be a part of. So went back there for a couple of years, worked for Dennis Bowser, one of my best mentors, owe him a lot. He helped me find my way to Pinehurst. So I went down there in 2010 and was working for Dennis at the time, and move south. It's a different world now. Like we struggle to find turf degrees and students and assistants and qualified people who we want to mentor and take over our job someday, right? I'm at a decent country club. It's not a host site or event or anything, but we have high standards, and you need a turf professional. And when I was making this move to Pinehurst, man, the town was full of them. Like every course had 5 or 6 turf studs, and if you got a spray tech job, like you were on the fast track. It was it was very competitive here in town. A lot of Ohio State kids, a lot of good, courses, but just it was stuffed up with talent. So that's why I made that jump down south, just to do something different, separate myself a little bit.
Just wanted to dig into the internship side of things a little bit. You're going to school, you have your internship, you get to work at a tournament. What was it about that kind of time of your life where you're like, okay, I'm really going to buckle down and kind of go for it and go for the next step?
Like a lot of turf people, my first degree is environmental science, wasn't even in turf. I got an associate's degree and didn't really want to know what I wanted to do. So when I transferred down to the main campus here at Ohio State, I had a lot of credit, so I didn't have to take certain classes. So I chose where I worked. I worked at the Ohio Turfgrass Foundation. It's a partnership with OSU. It's a research farm, and I worked with our plant pathologist, Mike Bain, because I didn't have to take his class. So I thought, well, this guy's smart. I want to work for him, so I can learn those skills. So I decided to work there for a summer. That was my first official turf grass internship. And, he's taking me to high-end courses. We're having high-level conversations with very serious turf people, and I'm just there trying to pay attention and listen. But that's when you learn how much science and effort goes behind what we do every day. It's not just luck or, hey, I think this will work. I heard a guy say or something. They put a lot of thought and effort. So that's my first taste of what it really took to make high-end turf grass and a nice golf course and all the things people want.
Turf Today is also brought to you by Flash Weather AI. Stay ahead of severe weather with precision AI technology. Get weather intelligence free for life and try premium weather for a limited time. To gain access, head to Turf Today on Instagram, find our link in bio, and there will be a link to a free trial of Flash Weather AI. To find out more information about their products and what they can do for you, head to flashweather.ai. Okay, everybody, it's that time of the show. The winners of the Toro head cover giveaway, in no particular order. We used an app for this, so we have 10 separate winners. I'm going to read out the Instagram handles. Those people, your task is to message us on Instagram and claim your prize, and we will get that sent out to you. If there are some unclaimed head covers after a month, we will put them back into the draw and pick a couple more names. So if you hear a friend's name, be sure to reach out to them. Here are the winners. Tom_Taylor 1421, Trevor Gonier, Dill_Drum, Jack.Leanhauser, Benjamin.B.Bouchard, Gray Sunbell, _M.Jax, 4_the_green, Hayden Hawthorne, and Sam S. 552. Congratulations to all the winners. Reach out to us to claim your prize. Oh, and this was a lot of fun. We should do it again, shouldn't we?
Being here with Muirfield Village, and they have an event every year, the access to that, getting to go over. I remember there was one rain day, me and some friends at school, like the tournament got delayed, and we were like, hey, let's go over and watch them fix it. So we got there when they was going to open and watched like a 2-hour madness, squeegeeing fairways, squeegeeing greens off, fixing bunkers, doing all this stuff, because we always get, a lot of rain during the Memorial. So they, go out and watch those guys do that. It was neat. So a lot of opportunities here in town for great golf.
So you guys, as turf and environmental science students, just went out and watched them. You didn't say, hey, man, give me a rake or give me a squeegee. Just sat and watched them fix it.
Back then, we weren't really, I don't know how to put it politely, but we weren't really part of the Muirfield Village tournament experience. We, the administration there, thought we might have too many friends in town and want to do things besides work all those hours and days. Just so we didn't always get a good opportunity back then. Like now, Chad's great. It's an open book if you want to ask and learn. And you've got I send a couple guys over every year. They have a great experience. So we decided, hey, we had tickets. Let's go watch him fix it up, and then we watch golf. Obviously,
there you go. So coming from Big Beaver and then going on to Pinnacle and OSU and Pinehurst and Philly, what are some of the things that you learned from your first job, of course, with limited resources? I know you and I talk about that a lot, just the things that you can learn at some of those smaller places. What are some of the lessons you learned and picked up there that you've been able to apply at some of these higher end type facilities?
Golf courses love to lose money, and if you're not doing right, you can waste a ton of money and not have a good result. So, and that doesn't come from just the low end, right? When I probably learned more of that from Pinehurst than anywhere, the efficiency of golf course maintenance and how to squeeze every ounce of what you have access to, because at that place you had 9 courses. That's a lot of resources. So you got to be really thrifty and smart and efficient. But it all goes back to people. The best people, you can have all the resources in the world, but if you don't have competent, qualified people to do what you ask, that care about their job, then you're not going to succeed, right? So learning how to take care of staff. I got this a lot from my dad, and he run the sawmill for a long time, and I still will go into town and be like, hey, your dad was great. Loved working for your dad. One of the best people ever. Right. And that, having that kind of attitude here at the shop, it helps when people are excited to come to work and show up every day. So, first and foremost, your people are the biggest asset, right? For sure. Talking about just like skills and sneaky things that you learn, how to be efficient, still trying to figure that out every day. But yeah, you gotta plan ahead, right? Like I try to think 3 to 6 months ahead. This is something that I've learned from these guys, is when you're, what I see today, I should have done in the fall, right? What I do today will affect my summer, and what I do in the summer affects the fall. So, try to think ahead with your program and your approach and what you're thinking about. You can't really live in the moment. You got to constantly be looking forward, because we're not dealing with brick and mortar. It's a living, breathing thing out there, the golf course, right? I tell people we think we're in control, but we have no we really don't. Just guides, basically, for what happens.
Mother Nature's always at the helm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got a big taste last year. Our summer was it was a little warm. It was dry, but we had plenty of moisture. Things were okay. And we worked really hard to make the greens fast and good and high end. And then we had the best fall you could ever have, like super dry, mild temperatures, no stress. And, we're not even trying. We're not even mowing every day. And the greens are just amazing, right? They're lights out. They're true. They're fast. Everybody's happy. And I'm like, yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. But in reality, we worked our butts off all summer to have that kind of conditions. And then, just because it worked out in the fall, the weather was great. It allowed it to happen. And that you really understand, like, we're not in control. We're just along for the ride.
You mentioned your people. I want to go back to that. And one of the things that I really admire about what you do is you'll take guys with no or limited turf education and have them and groom them as assistants, and kind of help move them along. Is that something more out of necessity, or is that just kind of something you really enjoy doing?
Kind of both. Today it's a little bit of necessity, like we're short on turf grass professionals. There's more golf courses today, and there's not as many people going to school. So the two assistants I have now were on the crew. One was just a summer guy and ended up working full time. And I'm like, hey, let's go get a degree or something. And it's worked out great. But that came from Pinehurst. They had obviously a great internship program, and my boss, Jeff Hill, probably one of my biggest supporters and mentors. Learned a lot from that man. But he, man, when the interns came in, he focused on them and he put effort into them and tried to better them. Right. And it was amazing. I worked for him for 6 years, and there wasn't a year that a guy came in that worked for Jeff 15, 20 years before and is now has his own club and, comes in would tell those stories. And I thought, man, that's awesome. How many people he's influenced and touched over his career. A lot of interns and assistants and stuff like that. So I tried to pay that forward. Those guys helped me out a lot. I wasn't the brightest or the smartest or had the best attitude all the time. And those guys helped coach me and become better. I'm not perfect by no means now, but, try to get better at that kind of stuff. And when you have an individual who cares, right, that's the biggest thing. You can go to school and learn all the things, but if you don't care about what you're doing, and in this business, passion is a big part. It's we have a lot of passion. You have to do what we do every day. It's not necessarily the easiest job. The guys that do it we appreciate how lucky we are to get to do it. But having a guy who has passion and desire, and then you can throw him a little education, and he can make a career where he was just an hourly crew guy 4 years ago. So it's pretty cool.
We've talked about a couple of these things already, but I kind of wanted to paint a bit more of a full picture. We talk a lot about leadership on this podcast with a lot of superintendents and people like that. So I'd love to kind of get your philosophy behind, being a leader, being a superintendent, and kind of running the show there.
I mean, it's definitely changed. I've been here 7 years, and my first few years is the way I do things completely different now. But that comes with people. That comes with staff and ability. And when I was an assistant, right, and if my boss did something, I was offended, right? I'm like, man, I should have had that, right? Why is he out here worrying about this? I should have had that covered. And I've had a few guys. I think the guys I have now are that way. So I'm big picture guy. I let them run the crew. I let them make the little mistakes, right? The biggest thing is you never stop coaching, right? The Coaching Habit, great book. You never stop coaching. You never stop teaching, so I let the guys kind of do their thing, and I step in where I need to right now. I try to teach them a lot. If they're asking questions, the more they're asking about the program, why I'm spraying this, why we're talking to these guys, why am I watering the way we're watering, stuff like that. And, you try to prepare them. One day they'll sit in this chair and they'll have their own shop and they'll have to do it. So you just try to prepare them for that. That's the leadership side, right? You just take care of your people, make sure some big things that we've had. I'm very fortunate here at the club, but our shop culture has changed in the last 4 years, but we provide lunches. We have better uniforms now. We have better insurance. We're accommodating. Just, you try to appreciate your people, and I think everything else just kind of falls into place, right? It builds a good culture and people want to be part of it. So that's worked for me. It'll be different. These guys are close to being gone. They're thinking about jobs. So I've got to create some more turf people and find the next guy. And it's very much like a college program, right? It's not, you never, you've got it good for a year or two, then you start over and you rebuild and you keep going. And if you're fortunate, people see what you're doing and they want to be part of it. So that's kind of the end game.
And I think one of the things I believe speaks volumes about this profession is that as a superintendent, you're never wanting to hold back your assistants. There's not that selfish mentality of, all right, I got a really good guy, I'm not going to hang on to him. Recently you sent Jake along over to Scioto. Talk about that process of kind of helping them make those decisions on when they're ready to move on.
Right. So great story. Jake was an intern at Pinehurst with me, come down from OSU. I was the assistant, and he did a summer internship and ended up working at the Scarlet. And I had a position, and I was like, hey, are you ready to be an assistant? So he came over. We already knew each other's styles, so it just flew, right? But he succeeded and grew and ended up like the last summer he was here, he had the keys. He ran the show, and we had some opportunities. People see what he's doing, and like, hey, let's make the next step. So that's how he's comfortable here. He's got everything figured out, running the show. Things are good, and it's a big jump to go into a new shop and learn. Especially a big step up like Scioto, what they're doing, and but that's why we talked about it. It's like, hey, like, this is an opportunity. You're going to go over here. You're going to see a different perspective. You're going to learn more stuff, and the progression is what it's about. Joe, my first assistant now, he had an interview 2 weeks ago for a job, and it was kind of a lateral move, really. But I was like, hey, go for it. Go out and get the interview experience, and if it's something better, it's better. And he chose to stay here, which made me very proud. I was like, there's some unfinished work here for him. I think he's probably a year from being his own superintendent. So that's kind of what we talked about. And so not every move happens at that time, but you got to throw them out there and experience new. Every shop's different, right? Every superintendent runs their place a little bit different, and you can learn something from I'm a big proponent of moving around. I've had probably too many golf course jobs, but it's helped me.
That's awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about your leadership once again. And one of the things that you are heavily involved in is association service. How has your involvement, your leadership within the association helped you as a professional?
It's absolutely made me a better superintendent, right? So having the opportunity to work with the Ohio Superintendents Association when I first got here, that introduced me to all of these great turf professionals in town, right? Columbus is full of experienced superintendents that grow grass at a high level and have done it at the same property for decades, which says a lot about what they're doing. And those guys built great chapter. It's kind of interesting, like all the places I work, the Columbus network, the people here, that's how I met Brian, right? It's through all this, and it just they socialize, they help each other, they lift each other up, they support each other. There's very few like closed doors in town. Guys are having issues, and you can share what's going on, and it helps us all. It really does. So it's been a big part of my life as a superintendent. That came, back when I was at Pinehurst. Jeff, he's like, hey, you need to go to these meetings. You need to meet these people. You need to experience this. It'll make you better. And so I continue to do that. I encourage my guys to go. That's what Brian and I was doing yesterday. So it makes us better talking about Joe's opportunity. Right. So, because of the chapter and my relationships, like I called another superintendent. I said, hey, how do I handle this? Right. Joe has an opportunity. I don't necessarily want him to go, but I don't want him to not do it. Right. How do you have that conversation in a constructive way? And 30 minutes talking to that guy. And I felt confident sitting down talking to Joe, and we sit down and talked about it. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity without these kind of relationships that you build with the chapters and meeting these other superintendents. Invaluable.
I'd love to get your opinion on the whole school versus work thing. Like you're talking about, helping younger people move on, assistants move on, and things like that. But getting into the industry at first, do you think it's really important to go to school right away, or kind of get some experience before pursuing something like that?
It never hurts to work on a summer crew, right? If you think you might want to do this, if you have an idea, then go spend a summer on a crew, right? At any age, it doesn't matter. It could be a career change as an adult, right? But the education's important. I guarantee I wouldn't have the jobs that I have today or I have had without going to college and having a bachelor's, right? That's not it. That's not every case. You definitely learn more in the real world, practical applications, right? Out doing the job. But if you don't understand what's happening, it doesn't benefit you. And the school, the education teaches you how to understand what you're doing and what's going to happen. So it's important. I tell my guys, I've helped guys, right? We had a guy go to do the Rutgers deal, and it's helped him immensely. Like he'll have his own, shop in a few years because of that. So, do you need a 4-year plant pathology degree? I don't necessarily think so, but I would definitely go and get some education. I mean, still today, like all of us here in town, we go every year and try to learn new things. It changes constantly. So, keeping up with that, but you got to have a good foundation, I guess. Right. So yeah, business is important. I wish I'd have taken some more business classes when I was in school. I think a lot of students are doing that now. You see kind of other majors, turf minors, kind of deals, which I think that's great if you're going to do that for 4 years. So, yeah, school's important.
I want to go into your location and the club itself. TCC is a part of the Muirfield Village community, and obviously you've got a well-known neighbor literally right across the street. Do you have any funny stories of has anyone shown up to your place to play in a pro-am or done anything like that?
all the time, and that's an uncomfortable conversation. Some people, and the worst is they think they're playing our place, but they think they're playing across the street. So that's a tough one to sell. But we're very much the country club, right? We got the pool and the patio bar and the pickleball and all that kind of stuff. Love it here. Love the access to, what they're doing across the street. To be even around that every year is a blessing, right? It's really cool opportunity here. They expect good golf here, right? We're the little brothers, but we gotta be just as good a lot of the time. So there's that. Some of my buddies, when I told them I took this job in Dublin, they're like, "Oh man, throwing you right to the wolves up in Muirfield Village," because it's demanding up here. It's a different community, but it is a great place to work, man. The club is great. We opened in 1981. Been through a bunch of renovations in the last few years that have all been very successful. The club is booming. Everybody wants to be a part of it, and it's a fun place to work. So it's been, we've done a lot of work, and we keep slowly making the course better and better and better, and the membership loves that. The FedEx guy gets lost every day. We get Muirfield Village's shipments, they get our bills, and vice versa. It's always funny.
You tell Chad to keep your bills.
We're blessed to get it. I've got a tunnel across the street, so during the tournament week, we have 2 shotguns every day. We're doing all kinds of nonsense, right? So you can't do a lot. So just we'll prepare the course, we'll change clothes, we'll go over there, watch an hour of golf, come back, check greens for a couple hours, go back over. It's a lot of fun. The blimps flying over, and everybody enjoys it. It's a good week.
And now it's time for another installment of Ask the Agronomist, presented by the Andersons. From tee to green, goal to goal, and shoots to roots, nothing is off limits.
Welcome back to Ask the Agronomist, featuring PhD agronomist Ben Pease from the Andersons. Today's question comes in from Andrews Robbie. Weather/climate is becoming more unpredictable. How does this affect pest management?
Good question. It seems to be a topic we get asked at trade shows about a lot. So pest management, I'm guessing he's referring to insect management, but technically anything could be a pest, even a weed or shade or something like that. From a technical sense, again, weather is something that we experience on a day-to-day basis, the daily temperatures, the daily conditions. Climate, they see as the overall long-term trend. So looking at the data, if you look long-term, nothing's out of the ordinary for our climate trends across most of our area. but I think there are some extremes in there that are being highlighted. So we kind of tend to focus on those, but it does make it more difficult to plan for pest management applications. So that's probably what we're getting at here today. We're busier, superintendents have more responsibilities, you're being taken on, demanded more of, and often with reduced resources. So trying to now plan our pest management applications around these events and these responsibilities and maybe differing weather patterns than we're used to can be a stressful thing. So regardless of weather, I always kind of harken back to best management practices that I practiced as an assistant back on the golf course days. And namely, we're looking at scouting. Can we, as we're doing our morning routines, we're taking a look at our indicator areas. And you guys know your sites the best. All right, if I've got this disease, I go look here. If I've got this insect, we know we got to go this tree or this area of the course. So scouting and knowing your site history is a big part in pest management, and train your assistants to kind of look for these things as they're making their rounds. That's how I was trained, and I was a much better turf grass manager because of it. With that, kind of on the numbers side, we can use growing degree day calculators. So there's resources out there that'll track larval instars depending on soil temperature, where you are in the country, things of that nature. And you can really use those to then guide, all right, we should start scouting. We should start looking at our indicator sites based upon our growing degree indicators or calculators. And of course, we always like to think, let's act preventively rather than curatively. So it's much easier to prevent a pest than it is to kill it off after it's already there. So, and that can be for disease, a weed, an insect, pretty much anything that we're calling a pest. Preventative is usually much easier and oftentimes much cheaper as well. He's got a good point that weather can amplify pest problems. In the Midwest here, I think of a few years ago, there was a hurricane weather trend that brought all these armyworms up from the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico. And we were just inundated with armyworms, something that we were never used to, we didn't plan for. So, and that was all across Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So weather trends like that are something to think about when you're planning out your pest management. Just watch the overall weather patterns across the country. This thing doesn't happen very often, but if you're watching ahead, you can plan for that kind of stuff. Another thing that we kind of forget to think about is that weather can actually sometimes help us control a pest. This is a big thing in weed management. So think of a late frost. So if we get a late frost, it'll kill any crabgrass seedlings. So a C4 plant just can't survive that late frost. And there's a similar effect on grub larvae instars. So we get cooler soil temps, that'll slow their development, reduce their population levels. Maybe if they've already risen closer to the surface, and these cold temperatures could kill them off. So weather can definitely cause more pest management issues, but sometimes it'll push us in the right direction. But just be diligent out there, know your scouting routines, know your site history, and train up those assistants to help take some of that pest management responsibility. They'll be better for it, and they'll thank you later.
I was going to say, I love how you mentioned training to scout because, the more eyes, the better. There's lots going on out there, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for this, Ben. This has been another installment of Ask the Agronomist featuring Dr. Ben Pease from the Andersons.
A-Plus Rewards are back. The Andersons A-Plus Rewards program offers turf managers the best opportunity to earn rewards on our newest and most popular products. Qualify with purchases of Contec DG, Fulltech SG, Castaway DG, Goosegrass, Crabgrass Control, and more. Don't miss this opportunity. The average reward for last year's program? More than $250. For a complete list of qualifying products, visit andersonspro.com. Limited time offer available to U.S. customers only.
My family, right? I got twin boys that are 10, and I get to bring them to work every once in a while, and hanging out with them out here. Love that a lot. Um, I'm a terrible golfer, right? I'm Rodney. I'm a terrible golfer. I've played the same golf I've played since I was a kid. It's not great, but coming out at by yourself sometimes and walking a few holes and playing and appreciating everybody's effort is I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot.
So you came in and took over for someone that had been there for a little while, and you were telling me the story yesterday how one of the first things that happened was that individual immediately included you into a text message chain with a bunch of the other peers in the area. I mean, how unique is that? How special is that? Something like that to happen when you're walking in the door?
Yeah, it's and I sit back and reflected. I was like, is this something I could do? This is one of the worst parts about our industry, right? Like, my biggest fear is we're going to have a board change one day, and just because somebody can save a buck, I'm going to lose my job and have to go somewhere else. We all kind of back to the whole like college team. You'd never know. I think things are great, but you never know, right? How stable your job is in this business. Every year can be a big change. So Dave, such a great individual, right? I come here, I take this job, and I'm here for a week, and he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, we got this superintendent's text thread with all the superintendents in town, and I'm gonna put you on it, introduce you." And I'm sitting here thinking, "Holy cow! Like, what is that? Something I would do in his position?" I could think you could be real bitter about that, but that's this Columbus town, and the guys that grow grass up here, they've struggled together and succeeded together. And, I still talk to him all the time, right? We're good friends. So just very fortunate to have those kind of deals.
I'd say another unique thing about your situation is you have a relatively known superintendent that's a member at your facility. How unique, challenging, uncomfortable, is there any of that kind of stuff going on and interactions there?
Yeah. So Bob plays out here a lot too. He's very active, but it makes me a better superintendent. When we was at Pinehurst, like, they would encourage us to play golf, and every Friday, almost, not every, but a lot of Fridays, the superintendents and assistants would go play other people's courses. I worked on course 8. We'd go play course 3 or course 5 or 6 or something, and or they'd come over and play my place, right? And having, I can drive down the fairway and 50 golfers could play and not notice this thing, right? This, whatever it is, this thing. But I drive down through there and I'm like, Bob will notice that, right? Bob. And it makes me absolutely be a better superintendent. Like, I'll be rushing somewhere and see a piece of trash or something. I'm like, Bob will see that. I got to get that, and so now he would never criticize, complain. That's what I know, right? I know that if he saw something dire, he would call me and say, "Hey, saw this. You might worry about it." But he would never call and say, "Hey, man, I thought the greens were slow today, or you're running too much water." But it absolutely keeps you on your toes, because a superintendent driving a cart by is going to see something a little different than your average member will. And but to that point, like, I had a great conversation in the fall. I was like, "Hey, you know what I'm doing? You play out here. What's something that I could put a little more effort in? What's an area I can elevate?" And we had a great conversation about it, and it's something I'm trying to do here. We're going to do that this year and try to make our approaches better, right? So having that conversation. Some guys are just, they don't have that ability to call that guy and have those conversations. And that's real important. It makes us all better, big time.
So along those lines, obviously, whether it's through an association event or just getting together with guys, you do have the opportunity to go and play other people's golf courses. Where's that fine line of saying something, if you notice something, or just shutting up and minding your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, you always try to be complimentive, like, "Hey, place looks great. You're doing," you always try to be upbeat, especially playing in, somebody else's place. But, like right now we've got this whole ABW coming into Columbus, right? It's a new thing here. It's causing problems, and not everybody's on the program or familiar with it. And we played a couple places last year where, like, guys who know what they're looking for, like, that's ABW. I don't think you make a big deal about it, but hopefully you have a good relationship with the superintendent to begin with, where you're comfortable saying, hey, I thought I saw some ABW activity. Are you on top of that? Right. If you need any help, let me know. Here's what we're doing. And, but that would be the only thing right now. Most everybody's doing a great job here in town. And, we had some droughty stuff, and, all that again is not in our control. So you're only as good as your irrigation can be, and things like that. So you just try to support a guy in that kind of situation versus you don't want to call anybody out. That's one thing. We're not competitors here. In reality, all of my peers are probably my closest competitors, right? But we don't act like that. We don't say, man, we might get 50 members because their teas are bad or something. That's, we're like, hey, how can we help? It's more of that attitude, which I appreciate that a lot. It makes it easy to do our jobs here. Not every place is as open, that's for sure.
And kind of along those lines, we again had the conversation yesterday of the support from some of your vendor partners. How important is it to be able to bang ideas off of those guys or hear from them what's going on in the area?
Yeah, the access to their PhDs, right? Their science, having the confidence to have that uncomfortable conversation, like, man, I'm really struggling here, and I don't know what to do. And those guys try to find an answer for you. I always say trust your partners, because we can't do it without them, and that's all of them. Your chemicals, your irrigation, your equipment, it doesn't matter. You got to have people you can count on, and that can count on you. So I get a ton of help from our guys in town, and we've got some great people too.
Well, Rodney, one of the big things that makes me look up to superintendents is the job and the fact that you can't really turn it off, right? Even if you go home, it's still something you're thinking about, still something going on. And you talked about your family a little bit. Just talk a little bit about your relationship with them and how you're kind of able to divide your time between the golf course and home.
This is a unique club. Very fortunate. Most of my days are done at 4:00, right? Hand watering days aside, lots of weekends. But my family grew up in it. My wife, Stephanie, is the best. I've drug her all over the country. You talk about having an uncomfortable conversation with your wife, like, hey, honey, let's move to Philadelphia. We're in the beautiful sand hills of North Carolina. It's a beautiful day. Like, hey, let's move to Philly. But such a trooper. And like I said about bringing my kids out here, it's not every club can do this, and not every property can have that, right? But the opportunity I have, just the kids love to come to the course. They're hanging out with me. They're wanting to learn. I took them to they were out of school for a day, and it was our Ohio State turfgrass field day. Education, go out and see turf plots and stuff. And I'm like, boys, let's go see some science stuff. And they got the biggest kick out of that. So seeing them appreciate what I do, it makes it easier for sure. But real fortunate to, we just live 15 minutes from the course. It's a pretty good situation right now. I'm grateful for it. But now the kids love, they're starting to play some golf. So that's fun. We'll see where that goes.
There's probably a bit of a trust factor involved too, in being able to have that family life, right? Because I know you're helping coach some of their sports and some of those things. So there's times where you've got to kind of dig out, and you're leaving it in the hands of your people. So talk about building that trust with your team, so you're able to get away and do those things.
Absolutely. Like I said, every season can be different, and the team I have now. their passion takes a lot of the worry out of it, right? They care so much about their property. It's their property, right? They're doing it every day. And they care about it so much that I have little concern about if I have to step away, that the job's not going to get done. That doesn't happen every year, right? That doesn't happen with every team. It didn't happen with these individuals 2 or 3 years ago. We had to earn that trust, right? Yeah, it's been good so far, but that'll change,
Once the next crop comes in.
Yeah.
There's always a new class, coming and going, but that's what makes this job. I won't say experience makes it easier, right? Because you kind of know what to prepare for. Each transition has been a little better than the last, right? That's me growing as a superintendent and learning how to be a better leader and a better manager. But there's a big trust factor there, and that trust goes with the club too, right? Because I'm the club superintendent. They're paying me to be the superintendent, and they see the assistant out here doing things. They trust me to trust him too. So not every club they would say, hey, I want you doing that because for whatever, right? So it all goes back to people, always does.
So in addition to obviously family time, and I know you love, being on golf courses, not the biggest golfer, I know we've invited you on some golf trips and you're like, I don't want to go play golf. What are some of the things that you like to do? I know you're a big outdoorsman. What are some of the hobbies that you enjoy when you've got some free time?
Love motorsports. So going and seeing races and stuff like that. I like dirt track, NASCAR, whatever. If it's got a motor, it's kind of a fun trip. But been doing a lot of waterfowl, duck and goose hunting. We got a dog here at the club. He's over here taking a nap. But that's been a big thing. Me and the boys are going turkey hunting tomorrow. So youth turkey season opens up in Ohio tomorrow. So we're going to go sit in the cold for a little bit and see if we can call one in. So that's a big part. But man, the kids like baseball, basketball. Twin boys are awesome. I'm just, it's a lot of fun right now. They're 10. So trying to soak all that up that I can, because, they'll be teenagers before you know it, and all that'll be different. But, right now we're doing baseball. So that's keeping us busy when it's not raining now. So a lot of stuff going on.
Spring in Ohio is so much fun for those spring sports, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait, you've got good cleats and mud cleats, right? So, just like golf. Got good golf shoes and mud shoes.
Yeah, I love it. You doing El Dorado again this year?
Eldora.
My bad.
Yeah, no. Eldora. Oh yeah, absolutely. The Kings Royal. It's like it's a 4-day dirt track race in the middle of nowhere. And we camp. It's a great time. Yeah. Overindulge. It's a lot of fun. Good food. It's been a good one. The kids love it. So.
That's great. So what do you think? What's your favorite part of this industry, Rodney? There's so much good about it. What's the thing that gets you up in the morning and keeps you driving?
Yeah, dude, I love my job. It's so different. There's so few of us that actually do it and understand it, right? And I have a total appreciation for the bill. I get to see the sun come up every day, right? I hang out with my buddies at work all day. And seeing the membership smile and like their excitement of what we're doing, because it's not always easy and fun. We've been out digging holes in the mud, fixing drainage. That's not something you look forward to. But when you get it fixed and you look at the results, I get a lot of appreciation for that. And it's very rewarding to drive around the golf course at sunup and see the shadows on the bunkers and everything just, looking its best, and, get to do that every day. It's not always easy, but this is a good place to do what we do. It's a good place to grow grass and take care of golf courses. And I like what we're doing. So
going back to your Pinehurst days, you go from the north down to the sand hills of North Carolina. What was that experience like working with a different variety grass? I'm assuming 8 was Bermuda. And did that warm season management kind of help you and better you as a professional and get you to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, Pinehurst actually had bent grass greens everywhere when I started down there. And if you said Bermuda greens, like you'd get looked at funny. And is a challenge to grow bent grass down there. And, up here at the time, the summers were getting tough. We had some pretty tough summers. And I thought, man, if I can go down there and learn how to grow bent grass in the Carolinas, then when I come back to Ohio, like I'll have it figured out. In reality, you don't. But you learn a lot of tricks, man, and it absolutely helps me. My greens up here today are, they're Poana predominantly. And I kind of treat that a little bit like that bent grass down there. I mean, it does okay in Ohio, but it's not always happy. And a lot of those strategies that I learned down there, I brought back. When I left, it kind of helped me get the job in Philly. But in Philly, they had Myers Louisa fairways at this course, and not a lot of people up there knew a whole lot about that kind of grass, and the struggles with growing a warm season grass up there. And in the Carolinas, we're in a transition zone. Like we lost Bermuda in fairways every year in spots we'd have to fix because it's happy there either, right? So that definitely helped me up there in Philly. A lot of those skills about traffic management, water, things that you don't really have to think about because the grass looks good, but if you don't do it, you're going to struggle 3-4 months down the road. So all that really helped. What a great experience going down there. They have a lot of courses, and their philosophy and attitude toward golf and the golf business. Like if we didn't get our jobs done as assistants and superintendents in 8 to 10 hours, we wasn't doing our job, right? Like there's no reason to be there all day. There's no reason to be there all night. There's times for that, right? Like, you're doing certain tasks. That's what it's called for. But, our philosophy was like, let's get our jobs done and go home and spend it with our families. And that attitude that Bob Farron and those guys have down there. And, course 2 is obviously another level, but they definitely live by that as well. They know that we're lucky to do what we do and take advantage of it. But all those skills helped me back here. And I had to do that. When, like I said, when I was here, there were so many guys doing what we were doing. I mean, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for growth. And my whole goal when I left in 2010 was to come back and be a superintendent in Columbus. Took 7 years, but finally got back. That's a whole other story. I'll tell you about that. I was in a state of depression for like a month because I spent the better part of my life with the goal of being a superintendent. And then when I sit here in this chair as a superintendent, that was 50-60% of my effort every day was like, I want to be a superintendent. So besides the job, the other effort was like, how do we make this happen? And I didn't know what to do. I had 50% of my mind and my effort, like I was lost for like a good 3 or 4 months because I was like, well, I got this job and this goal, and now what am I doing with all this extra time? And that's how you end up at Dogwood Hills and all those other things. But
pet projects, huh?
Pet projects, yes, sir.
So you mentioned the bouncing around to a bunch of different facilities, at the beginning part of your career. And I think there are really 2 kind of mindsets of some guys say it's better to stay at one spot, learn a lot, and then wait for that spot to open up. But you bounced around a little bit more. For you, do you think it was better for you to jump around and see more things? Do you wish you would have stayed somewhere a little bit longer? Where's your mind kind of on stay or go?
Yeah, I think most of the guys will know when it's time, right? All of my moves, except for one, was planned out, right? Like I had a goal. I'm going to go to this club. I'm going to do these things. When I went to Philly, Dan will laugh, but like I interviewed him as much as he interviewed me, right? Because I'm leaving Pinehurst and I'm going. Like that's a big deal. Like I have an opportunity here for a career if I chose. And but I was just ready for the next step. I think most guys want their own shop. If you're driven in this business, you want your own shop, you want your own course, you want to make your own decisions. And that was my goal, right? So I definitely had a focus on that. So that's why I made those jumps. They were all goal oriented. When I was at Pinehurst, it was a resort, public, basically my course, and it was high end lot. I mean, 220 a day, all of that, right? But I wanted to be a superintendent at a country club, and I never had a member. So how do you deal with members? How do you deal with the pool? How do you deal with? I've never had a greens committee, those things. So when I went to work for Dan, that's what I said, Dan, this is what I need. I feel like I know how to mow fairways and top dress. Like I need to learn the club business. I need to learn how to interact with boards and membership. And wow, what an experience that was. That was the perfect place for that. If your goals are looking for something else, you need to go, work for a different individual, so I think don't just take a job because, right? That's the conversation I have with Jeff. I was like, hey, you're going to go take this job. It's basically the same job you have. It might pay a few dollars more, but what are you going to learn? It's going to take you a year to figure the property out. And then, you're going to have to, then you can start growing, right? It's not an immediate thing. You walk on a place and start growing. It takes a while to figure it out. So, I think you need to plan those moves. Don't be afraid to move. Biggest advice I give college kids, like, you get an opportunity in Colorado, take it. Go work for that guy, especially if they're a good who you work for really, really matters. You don't just take any job, but, don't be afraid to pack up and move and experience different things. Definitely made me a better person, without a doubt.
So on a little lighter side, Brian and I were talking about the Masters this weekend. I know that this episode will come out Tuesday, so everything will be over. But it's Friday today, round 2. Do you have any predictions for the weekend or for the tournament?
I didn't see Rose coming out lights out yesterday, so he's pretty solid, right? I don't see him making huge mistakes. So somebody's going to have to light it up to catch him. And I used to not like Bryson, but I don't know, like that experience at the Open down at Pinehurst and watching that, just how could you not be a fan of that guy at this point? So would like to see him kind of do something, but man, these guys are so good. You never know. And the Masters has so much pressure at that place. I couldn't imagine what they would feel walking on the tee up there. And they do it every week, right? But that place has another level. So it's such a special property. And they, playing course, I never played Augusta, obviously, right? But I've been there for a show. But like places like that, we played course 2 one evening, me and some buddies, when we were there working. And we're out there. There's hardly anybody. We're walking down the fairway, and it's just feels different. Places like that, I mean, you can tell it's just different, right? So who knows who will be putting the jacket on, but we'll be watching it.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation here, Rodney. This is your episode, so we'll kind of give you the mic and give you some time if there's anything else you want to talk about before we let you get back to work there.
Thank you guys for doing what you're doing. First off, it's good to see it. My guys follow what you're doing, and there's not a ton of people that do what we do, and you're telling those stories, and everybody does it a little different way, and they all got here a little different way with help along, and so keep doing what you're doing, keep making us famous, right? Yeah,
famous in our own little world, right? I love it.
That's all right. We appreciate it, and come up in town for the memorial. We'll be around. It's always a good time. So
I'll be there.
I appreciate the opportunity to share. I'm nobody, so just grow grass here in town. But
you're as modest as they come. That's what we love about you. You're a hillbilly from Ohio that's really done well for himself. There's no question, buddy.
as leaders and superintendents and stuff, you guys make it easy on us. We just kind of have the platform here and ask the questions, but the stories and the insights and the amazing things all come from you guys. So I know there's going to be people out there that get a lot of good stuff out of everything you've said today. It's been really good.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it, Rodney. Great to see you. Enjoyed yesterday and look forward to doing it again here soon.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Be good.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Take care, Rodney.
Love that, man.
He snapped the computer down, turned around, immediately turned that TV on to the Masters.
Yeah.
Just
it's pretty much what I'm going to be doing here too.
Immediately. Yeah.
It was great.
Behind you.
That
was really good. Yeah. And just like you said, a guy who's just worked hard, very humble, loves his people, leans on his people. So that's just a really hardworking, team guy who's come from really good values and had a dream and had a goal. And look at him. Should be very proud of himself. And I love the story of him being a dad and having the two young boys and stuff. They must just love that. Getting to go to the course and wheel around, and the two of them, like, that must just be a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great dad. He's got a great family. My wife and I know them both very well. He and his wife Stephanie. We've done a lot of stuff socially together, and just a great dude, great family man. Great superintendent, again, I mentioned, and he just will always say, I'm nobody. I'm just a little grass janitor from, Ohio or whatever. But he certainly downplays himself. He's done great things. He's done a great job at TCC, and the membership's extremely happy with him. I mean, when he took it on, not that it was in bad shape or anything, but, like you mentioned, he kind of came back and times were tough in the area, and, they had some members leaving for various reasons, but now, they're back to a full membership, extremely active, and they just love their golf course. So he's done a really nice job. And like I mentioned, he'll take guys with little experience, just crew members, and just, see something in them, encourage them to further themselves. And then he kind of moves them along and gives them viable careers in this industry. So, that's what I think a lot of us love most about this business, is just being able to help others. And Rodney's done a remarkable job of that, not just, the people on his team, but, again, serving in associations, helping award scholarships to students to help better themselves and pursue this industry. He's just one of those guys that gets it, and just, fun to be around too. He's a trip. I love Rodney.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I love the setup, how they have the country club right across the street from the championship course. Like, that's kind of the best of both worlds for him. So that was cool to learn.
Yeah, it's funny because every time Memorial Week rolls around, a bunch of different organizations will send out messages on Twitter or X or whatever, best of luck this week to such and such golf course or superintendent or whatever. And literally, probably in the last 10 years, Rodney's probably been tagged at least 6 or 7 times.
That's so funny.
It's like guys, wrong Muirfield.
Get
wrong
it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And he has mentioned a couple times where, people will get a certificate to play, and it's the country club at Muirfield Village, and they show up thinking, it's the home of the memorial, all that kind of stuff. And, it's the country club at Muirfield Village, so it's, like you said, he struggles telling them, he feels bad for him, but at the end of the day, they're going to get a great golf experience, because that golf course is a lot of fun to play. The country club at Muirfield is a lot of fun to play. Rodney's always gracious and hosting the association events out there and getting his peers out there. And yesterday when we were together, he's like, man, if you don't come out here and play at least 5 times this year, he's like, I'm going to feel really bad. Like, that's almost disrespectful for me if you don't come out here and play. Like, dude, okay. All right. I'll come out. If I'm home, I'll be there.
Yeah. That might be one of the courses we're gonna have to hit when I come see you.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a really good time. So, and Rodney will roll out the red carpet for sure.
All right, sir. Well, I don't want to keep you from any of the big golf going on right now, so go back to the couch.
Yeah, I say that, but I'm gonna have to, we'll be working. The
emails will be flying. It's funny because there's been a lot of people just emailing like, hey, talk to you on Monday. Enjoy the golf.
Yeah,
yeah. All right, no one's fucking doing any work right now.
Yeah, I did. We had this conversation when we did the podcast with the USGA guys yesterday. And then after that, I read something like productivity dips like 97% or something these 2 days, Thursday, Friday of the Masters. So there's definitely a lot of people with multiple screens going, watching every single piece of coverage that they possibly can online, or whether it's ESPN Plus, or I don't even know, it's like CBS Plus and Peacock, and there's like 4 different streaming services I think that are running it at different times. Like, come on, can't we just start like live coverage on the Golf Channel at 8 a.m. so you watch just everything?
Roll it
please.
The whole day. The Masters app's still the best though. Like that's tough to beat. It's tough. People were saying it might be like the best app you can get for your phone. Like
100%.
They might be right. I mean, it's just
it takes up a lot of space, though. I know that it takes up a lot of space.
Stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
It's not one you can keep on your phone all year. You just download it for the 1 week and then take it off.
Yep. So non-golf related, and we texted a little bit about it, but I haven't had a chance to ask you about it. What do you think about Ovi breaking the Great Ones record?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was only a matter of time. It was really exciting to see that he gets it done before the end of the year. So we'll see. Like, they're still in first place. I know they're making a run for the playoffs and for the Stanley Cup and everything. So hopefully they didn't kind of celebrate too soon with something that big. But they got a good team. And now people are saying, does he come back next year and the year after and go for 1,000? Which would be insane. I saw this tweet. It was like, he's gonna just go till 1,000, and then after that game, he's gonna retire. Like, just
he's got a ton of games still, right? I mean, he's still relevant on the ice, isn't he?
100%. Yeah. I think he said years ago that he'd like to play for 5-6 more years, and then he wants to go back and play for his team in Russia, which was Dynamo or something like that, because he's only ever played for Dynamo and the Capitals. So he said he wants to kind of go back there and play his last game for those guys, but that could be still another few years away, right?
Yeah. I mean, the guy's obviously, putting up. How many goals does he have this year now?
I think he got 40.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane.
40 something. Yeah, like he's definitely he had to have a big season to do it, and he broke his leg. It was like his first big injury of his career, and everyone's like, no way he's going to do it. And he ended up pulling it off. Actually, Spittin' Chicklets this week, they did Dylan Strome, who was the guy that assisted on the final goal. And he just talks about everything, all the celebrations, everything they did. And I guess Ovi he's just one of the boys. He's just a big kid. Like, they chirp him all the time. He has fun with everything that goes on there. And one of my favorite quotes, I think it was Brooks Orpik years ago. He said, like, I'm pretty sure if you stabbed him, he wouldn't bleed. Like, guy's just made of stone. So
that's unreal. I remember when they won the Stanley Cup a couple years back, like the celebration and watching him and what he was doing with the Stanley Cup. Like he was just a big kid rolling around after winning that thing.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like they just have so much fun, and good for him, good for that organization. And I mean, Gretzky's got so many records. Like, his points records will never be touched and stuff. So for him to pass on one, it's great for the game and all that. So happy to see
now
it.
Wayne went straight from watching Ovi break his record down to the Masters and watching his son-in-law compete at Augusta. Not a bad life. Yeah, that's crazy. So they're your favorite here going into the home stretch?
Washington. Well, I mean, I'm a Sens fan, right? We're in Ottawa. Ottawa's just clinched the playoffs for the first time in almost 10 years.
Okay.
So we're excited here, and it's looking like we're going to play the Leafs, who are the biggest rival that this town has. And they're actually trying to figure out what to do, because it's been a bit of a problem here in Ottawa. Every time we have a Leafs game, it's only Leaf fans. Like, the Sens fans are like, we're not even going to bother anymore. I was like, fuck it. So,
oh man.
So we're like, if we have a playoff game here, it's just going to be an absolute war. But I mean, there's other towns that have that. I'm sure the Devils go through that when the Rangers come to town, or the Mets and Yankees play. There's got to be some crossover, right? But
we have that here in Columbus every time we play the Penguins. Like, the Penguins fans come out
all your Crosby fans and Lemieux fans and stuff with their jerseys. Yeah, they're hardcore. Yeah. So that's just what we're dealing with. We'd love to see the Sens beat the Leafs in the first round, but Florida's really good and Washington's really good, and there's some teams in the West. You got to watch out for Dallas and some of those teams. So the playoffs and the NHL just get better and better every year.
Oh, they're a blast. So if the Panthers win, if Florida wins again, are we going to go down to the elbow room and celebrate?
We're going to have to. We might have
Everything comes back to the elbow room, baby.
Exactly. Oh man, those guys talk about it on Chicklets all the time. Like Jans lives in Fort Lauderdale, so he'll just be like, "Yeah, after the game the other night, me and the wife went down to the elbow room." It's just such a casual thing. Like,
You can't. I've told so many people. Like I literally was in the airport the other day before heading down to Dallas and met a guy at the bar. Turned out we had mutual friends and all that, so we were just sitting there. He was wearing a golf club. He was wearing a shirt from the golf club. So obviously start talking to him about the golf club, all that, and then he turns out he's going down to Fort Lauderdale for a conference or something. They're literally staying like a block away from the elbow room. I'm like, you've got to go,
yes,
and then you need to text me and let me know about your experience because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about that place. I just love it. I just absolutely love it.
there's an aura there. Everybody's got a smile on their face. Everybody's happy to be there. There's no BS.
Yep.
Until later
We
in the
need
night.
we need to bring him in on us as a sponsor. They need to sponsor us somehow. We've got to do a show live from the elbow room one year.
Oh my God. Upstairs or downstairs?
Oof, that depends. They can both be a little noisy.
Just give me the park and the elbow room and we're set.
Right? Yeah, man. That's a good combo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sounds good. Well, enjoy one of the greatest weekends in golf.
Absolutely, buddy. You too. We'll make some pimento cheese.
Yeah. Funny enough, I've got some in the fridge right now.
Do you?
So,
Nice,
not from
nice.
Augusta, but
Nice.
All right, man. Well, keep me posted, and we'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Great job today.
All right, man.
It was a good one.
Yeah, you too. Yep, absolutely. See you.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, everybody. Whether you're a new listener or you've been here since the jump, it's so great to have everybody along with this journey. There's so much learning, so much fun on here, and we just keep enjoying it every week. It's a lot of work, but we love it. To our sponsors, thank you guys so much for everything you do. Toro, Andersons, Flash Weather, AI, and everybody else that comes together to make this podcast what it is. Everybody have a great week. Like we said at the beginning, an awesome one coming next week. You're not ready for this, not expecting this one. It's gonna be fun. So keep those reels sharp and we will see you soon.